So you're thinking about doing some recording for yourself, for your band, or for just practice. My name's Neil Colaporti, and I'm from soulinfusion.com. Today, we're going to talk about the needs for a small setup as well as for a full home studio. For those who've been around for a while, you remember the old analog reel-to-reels, and then the cassettes, then the ADATs, and even the early computers. These things were all very difficult to use and required a sizable investment. Quite honestly, if you didn't make a really sizable investment, they didn't sound very well. Today, that's all different. Let's start with the small setup. This is something that's for a single, that's very portable, and it's primarily used for writing, for collaboration, for recording raw tracks, or for practice. Doesn't really matter what you play, you're still going to have to make some kind of minimal investment, but the minimal investment is just that, very small. The nice thing about this, it can be used anywhere. You could take it with you to practice, you could take it to your bedroom. It's portable. You're going to need a laptop computer or a mobile pad. This is probably going to be your largest investment. Let's face it, that 20-year-old laptop you have probably isn't going to cut it. Next, you're going to need some free DAW software. Things like GarageBand, Reaper, Cakewalk, these are all very good DAWs that have no cost. Next is the audio interface. This is probably going to be the most daunting. This can be a 1 or a 2 channel for your small setup. Consider a 1 channel if you're just recording an instrument or a voice, or a 2 channel if you're doing voices and instruments. So let's say you have an acoustic and you want to sing. You probably want 2 channels. If you're just doing a horn, it's probably 1 channel is probably fine. So you'll need your instrument, and obviously you'll need cables for your instrument. Depending on how you're going to record, you're going to need either microphone or direct box. You will need headphones, but the ones you probably have are probably sufficient for doing a single. Optionally, an internet connection will allow you to share your files with your friends in the cloud. Next, let's talk about home studios. These home studios are primarily going to be used for recording or for some type of production or for writing or even just practice, but they will require a larger financial commitment. You're probably going to want better DAW software, something like Logic Pro X or Pro Tools or Audition. You're going to need a little more room and a little more equipment. You're going to want a better audio interface. You're going to want something that does multi-track, simultaneous recording. You may want a control surface. If you're old school and like buttons and knobs, this is probably going to be essential. Think of this as your mixing console. Studio monitors. These are designed to not enhance the sound at all, and they keep all your frequencies flat. These are much different than your home stereo speakers. Studio headphones, same situation. These are designed to provide an accurate reproduction of the audio. Good cables are something you may want to consider. Those old cables that you have may be noise prone. And you probably want a high-speed internet connection. This will allow you to more easily share your files with your bandmates. So what's this going to cost me? This can range anywhere between $0 to well over $10,000 depending on your budget. For a single collaborator though, you could figure anywhere between $100 and $150 plus your computer. For the home studio, you can figure anywhere around $800 plus your computer. So now let's look at what the differences are between this and your traditional recording studio. Well, first is convenience. Second, your time is free. 4 hours in even the smallest studio can be well over $400. 4 hours in a large studio could be well over $5,000. You'll own your own equipment, so you'll be familiar with its operation. You won't have an isolation booth. You won't have a control room. You won't have a dedicated engineer. You will have a learning curve. You'll have a room that's probably not acoustically correct, the same as it is with this recording studio. However, your DAW should have software to compensate for this. So how good is this going to be? Well, this is really going to depend on your budget, the effort and skill sets that you have, the DAW you're using, your interface, and your computer. For your interface, you can consider companies like Motu, Focusrite, SSL, Universal Audio or Apollo, Steinberg, Tascam, RME, IK Multimedia, or Shure. These are all really good companies. Depending on the portability that you desire, you can choose between a laptop, a desktop, or a tablet. Remember, if you want portable, you probably want a laptop or a tablet. Ease of use is critical. I've switched everything over to Apple for that particular reason. Everything is pretty much plug and play. The audio interface that will be used, also a consideration. What software is available for the device you're going to be using? Different devices, desktops, laptops, and tablets have different DAW options. And finally, how does your interface connect to your computer? Let's talk about that connectivity. It can be USB, it could be Lightning, it could be FireWire, or it could be Ethernet. If it's Ethernet, it could be AVB, which is audio video bridging, or Dante. You're probably wondering about complexity. Well, again, it's going to depend on the level of effort that you're going to want to put in, how much of your stuff is plug and play, and the software that you get. My suggestions, if you want something really easy and works well, do a MacBook Air, a Motu M4, and Logic Pro X. Now, if you can't afford Logic, GarageBand is a great alternative. One of the things you're probably wondering is, what do they use in a professional studio? Well, Pro Tools for the DAW is pretty well the standard. They use big, long mixing consoles. These came from Avid, or Neve, or SSL, or Trident, or API. If you have the budget, and I mean it's a large budget, you probably want to look into these. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this and look forward to seeing you on my next set of videos.